Couple lights on, cameras roll, time to break the mold. No more silence, every story's gotta be told. Truth in the air, no filter, no disguise. Real talk, real change, we open up your eyes. We got the voices that are changing the game. Fearless, unchained, calling our names. From the struggles to the rise, we expose, we ignite. No topic too deep when you step in the light. We got the answers, spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. From the pain to the power, the lessons we learn. Voices of the people, let the fire burn. Dr. Donna, Dr. Laxley, leading the way, guiding the truth in a world full of gray. Experts, activists, voices untold. Everyday heroes with stories so bold. This is more than a show, it's a movement, a spark, illuminating shadows, bringing light to the dark. We got the voices that are changing, be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. Step into the spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. We got the voices, spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. And if you want the real, then tune in right now. We're breaking down walls, no backing down. One mic, one voice, one mission tonight. Step into the spotlight, let's get it right. Let's get it right. Head to the spotlight. Let's get it right. What do?
All right. Good evening, and welcome to In the Spotlight, the home of raw, unfiltered information where real talk is what we do. I am Dr. Laxley. I'm your host. And the one and only Dr. Donna is taking a night off and we'll be back next week. So anyway, tonight we are not discussing success as an accident. We're discussing success as infrastructure. Because behind every accomplished professional, behind every leader, behind every person who made it, there is a village. A teacher who refused to overlook, a parent who sacrificed beyond comfort, a principal who demanded excellence, a mentor who spoke belief before performance showed up. Tonight's theme is deeply personal and profoundly necessary. It takes a village. The power of mentorship, faith, and collective investment in shaping destiny. And if you are a parent, an educator, a policymaker, or simply someone who cares about the next generation, tonight's conversation is for you. Our guest tonight embodies this theme. From the rural hills of St. Andrew to Jamaica's legal corridors of leadership, her journey is not simply one of personal achievement. It is one of collective investment. a proud past student of Excelsior High School, a graduate of the University of the West Indies, and recipient of the prestigious Emancipation Scholarship. She stands as testimony that no one rises alone. Please join me in welcoming attorney Stacy-Ann Joseph Dewar. Hi, Stacy. How are you?
Hi, Prof. I am good. Thank you so much for having me. I am looking forward to our conversation this evening.
You know, welcome to the show. We have
Thank you.
had conversations off the air quite
Yes,
often, quite frequently. But tonight we have an opportunity to have a conversation where it's not just us. There'll be others who will be hearing us as well. By the
okay.
way, so how are you doing?
I'm good. One day at a time, as I say. I am giving thanks. There's much to be thankful for, despite all of the distractions in the world and challenges and so on. There's much to be thankful for, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Grateful indeed. And we do have some distractions, don't we? And challenges,
Indeed.
nevertheless.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, from
Yes.
all
So,
angles.
all angles, right? And where are
Yes.
you right now? Where are you joining us from?
I am in the Cayman Islands, as the Caymanians say, paradise. um,
Mm,
nice and sunny. But of course, as you said, I'm a Jamaican from the hills of rural St. Andrew.
yeah. It's interesting to hear a Jamaican call somewhere else paradise, but you just said it.
Yes, well, and that's because it's in the Caribbean. It's just like about 45 to 50 minutes plane ride between Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. So you find that the weather, the climate is similar, the coastline, the beaches, it's similar. I think the only difference is that whereas in Jamaica we have the hilly interior, the hilly terrains, we don't have much of that here in Cayman.
So paradise, but certainly not Jamaica. So Stacy, before titles, before law school, before scholarships, there was a little girl in the rural hills of St. Andrew. So let us start there. Growing up in that environment, what did it teach you about imagination, survival, and community before you even understood the word purpose?
Oh, that's taking me a little ways back, but in terms of survival and imagination. Most of us from that era, I won't disclose my age, but most of us from that era would know what it was like or would remember what it was like playing marbles or, using the stones to play. I don't remember what that game was called, or bend down, stocky, Chinese skip, dandy shandy, and all of these things. Climbing trees, on our way home from school and telling stories to each other on our
Mm,
way home from school or to school. So it taught me to interact with my peers. There was a sense of community. We used to walk together to school in groups,
mm,
and we used to come home together in groups. Even if we went to different schools, we would all meet up at a specified place and we would walk home in our little groups. So there was that sense of community.
mm,
In terms of imagination, we would tell stories. I don't know if you know big boy stories, kind of rude, but we used to tell those stories. We used to tell Anansi stories. We used to make up stories. We used to make up songs. I remember making up songs with my friends and my siblings on our way home from
mhm,
school. And so that taught us from an early age to
mhm,
to interact with individuals. Um, in terms of survival, as I said, we walked home in groups. So, of course, there would be cliques. There would be little disagreements. We're all from the same community. But
mhm,
you would find that once we started going to high school, when we're in primary school, it's a bit different. We're more together. But when you start going to high school now, things get a little bit different. You either walk with those from your own school or those with whom you had a very close bond. And so we had our little cliques and our little disagreements, and that taught us a bit about survival and working around things. And the survival, not just in the sense of being adversaries or being at each other and, as we would say back in the day, tracing somebody or whatever. It also taught us about survival in terms of getting along. We all had to use the same dirt track to go home. If there were any challenges, if anybody saw something happening on the road with another child, we know that we need to tell an adult. So it taught us how to get along and to survive with each other sometimes. So it's not just, being against each other and all of that. And, in terms of community, typical rural community, everybody knew each other. If somebody moved into the community that we didn't know, everybody knew the person's name by the following day, and you know all about the person and so on. So it was close knit to the point that any stranger that came into the community, everybody would become aware of who this person is, where they live. So you would say, like, him gonna live up a Mass Tucker, up at the bush up there, or wherever, whichever house he was staying in. We would all know and look out for each other. And community, as I said, just with the case of survival amongst us as students, it's the same in communities. You have people that have disagreements, and today they're not friends, and tomorrow they're friends. It was just like that. So good memories of times never to come again, but it was good growing up. It was really good growing up. Yes.
In and out of friendships, building relationships, new, old, rekindling, all that good stuff. Yes. What a wonderful time those were. But Stacy, in conversations with you, you describe yourself as curious, sometimes distracted, and daydreaming at times.
Yes.
In today's system, labels come quickly.
Indeed.
How close do you think you were to slipping through the cracks?
I consider myself an introvert. I'm a very, very shy person, Professor, especially around people that I don't really know. And it has always been like that for me growing up. Very shy, very introverted. If I'm not around my friends or my family, I don't speak out or anything like that. But I find that when children are sometimes quiet, they do tend to get overlooked. If you're not the boisterous one or the bully or the brilliant one, you tend to get overlooked. You don't really know how to stand up for yourself. You don't really know how to articulate and say, but this is not right, or this is how I would prefer to have things done. So you find that sometimes people just said things or took decisions for you and so on, and you're just too shy to speak up. And it can happen as well in the school setting. You're the quiet child, you're placed at the back of the class. And if you don't really assert yourself either in your mannerism or your output in terms of your work, then you're just there. You're just there. So for me, with my personality, it that could have happened to me. However, I think I was I don't know if funny is the word or amusing is the word that I would want to use, but I was always saying some silly things. And so that's how I would, get attention from, my parents, people in the community, family members, and so on, because I was just always the one to say something like out of the norm. So that is one of the ways I think that I, got to get and keep the attention of adults.
So you had your attention grabber, huh?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So, you've had many defining moments in your life, but there's one, the,
Yes.
the grade 3 spelling test. You scored 7 out of 20. And
Yes.
you had to experience your mother's very public correction.
Mhm.
Was that humiliation, awakening, or both? How did that moment reshape your discipline?
It was both humiliating and, of course, it stirred an awakening in me more than anything else. Um, my grade 3 teacher, I remember her name, Miss Porter, Mrs. Porter. She would, give us regular spelling tests. And I got 7 out of 20. And I was bold enough to show the paper to my mom. And she was like, okay. And we were at home when I showed her my results, and she was okay, really no. All right. Went to my bed fine, got up and went to school the following morning and in class, and everything is all dandy and fine. Only to see my mom outside the classroom. And this was at St. Martin de Porres Primary School in Gordon Town. And grade 3 was upstairs, along with grade 4 and grade 5. Grades 4 and grades 5. And I just saw my mom appear outside, but she had something in her hand. She had something in her hand, and she asked Miss Porter to come out to talk to her. And Miss Porter went out and they spoke. And all along, I'm like, what's happening? Miss Porter came back inside and said, your mom would like to speak to you. And she was on the balcony, and I went out to her. And she just started putting it on. The black thing in her hand was a belt. We're accustomed to those back in our days. And, I got a few out of the belt. And I tell you, in front of the whole class, as I said, grades 3, 4, and 5 upstairs, and we were on the balcony. And of course, anybody that was out in the schoolyard could always just look up and see what was happening. And so after that, of course, I had to go back into class. Went back into class and business as usual. But I can tell you that I never got below 18, 19 in a spelling test again, because of course
So something worked. That
Yes.
lesson worked, right? That experience you went through worked. Your mom's and that
It,
black thing in her hand.
it really did. I never got that low, scored that low again. So, even apart from the humiliation, which was fleeting, I just didn't want to disappoint my mom. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I didn't want to have her feel like she needed to come to the school to discipline me because I wasn't paying attention. As I said, I was a daydreamer always in class. My mind was just all over the place. I'm not paying attention to anything at all. And I didn't want her to feel that I wasn't achieving or I wasn't doing well enough. And so I ensured that I studied my words and paid a bit more attention in class, just enough to not get such a low score in spelling again. And I think that moment taught me to persevere and to know that there is something greater within me. Even though I felt like I am not good enough or I am not interested in doing this, it showed me that there was something greater in me, and my mom had this expectation of me. And if she has that expectation of me, she must have seen something. So it motivated me to stick to what I'm sticking to and to just do my best. I honestly believe that I became more attentive in class thereafter, not just grade 3, but grades 4, 5, and 6 as well. And Well, grade 4 and 6, and subsequently high school.
So if it was your mother's intent, then it worked.
It did. It
It did.
certainly did. It
Did.
certainly did. Yes, and I think a part of the disappointment too was because she helped or tried to help with preparing for spelling words.
Mhm.
Yes, so to know that she was, putting out that effort and it came to naught would have been disappointing.
And you talk about growing up in a community, and not just a place, but where people come together and they do things. And every community must have, you find that one person. And for you, that person was Mrs. Michelin. What exactly did she plant in you that stayed long after primary school ended?
Yes. So Mrs. Michelin was our grade 4 teacher at St. Martin de Porres, and she helped to cultivate within us an imaginative mindset. And when I say imaginative, she would tell us stories, and they were always so visual. She taught us that not because we're at a rural school, it doesn't mean that we cannot achieve what we want to achieve. The motivation that we got from Mrs. Michelin was, I think, it was phenomenal. And it helped to carve us, I think, into the students that we were in high school. We, from Miss Michelin's grade 4, quite a few of us skipped grade 5. Back in the day, we could skip grade 5 if there was enough potential and go directly to grade 6. And quite of us skipped grade 5 and went directly to grade 6. And all of us passed the first sitting of the common entrance examination. So she looked out for us. She ensured that whatever it is that we were putting out in terms of our studies and in terms of our work, it was top notch. Mrs. Michelin would not accept anything less than our best. And she made sure that we knew this. So it wasn't just, the experience wasn't just for me, it was for a group of us that she saw the potential and she nurtured and ensured that we gave it our best shot.
So she played an instrumental role in your life, as in the lives of many others.
She really did. She really did. And I believe that the trajectory started there in terms of doing my common entrance, passing the first chance, as we would say, you have 2 chance, 3 chance, and so on. And just our output. Just skipping grade 5 and going directly to grade 6, that I think shaped my trajectory.
Stacy, we live in, let's say, a performance-driven culture. But you and I, we know that real transformation doesn't always start with performance, right?
Right.
How critical is it for educators to look beyond grades and nurture potential instead? And clearly someone did that with you.
Yes, it's very important, Dr. Laxley, because for several reasons. Some of us are late bloomers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't think I fully blossomed until university or law school. So some of us are late bloomers in terms of, I wouldn't say our potential, but our output and how well we do. And it is important that educators see that potential and nurture it so that we don't fall. Students don't get left behind. In the cartoon there, Trolls, is it? Where the father said, no trolls left behind, I think it's important if teachers have that as their mantra, which some of them do, no student left behind, then the possibilities are endless. So apart from some of us like myself being late bloomers, you also have those in probably socioeconomic conditions that are not very conducive to doing very well in school. But that doesn't mean that the student is not bright. That doesn't mean that the student does not want to try. That doesn't mean that the student does not have the potential to do well. And in all honesty, Professor, I think some teachers have that gift to recognize those students. Sometimes we see a student, a child in school that, is what we call bad picnic, give a lot of trouble or so on. And you have some teachers that recognize the potential in that child. And as we would say this in Jamaica, they sit on that child, right? They're on that child daily to ensure that that child does his or her best and delivers, right? And some adults now will tell you that they were bad picnic in school, and if it wasn't for a teacher or two really seeing the potential in them and nurturing them, then they wouldn't be where they are. So for me, as I said, I was a dreamer. I daydreamed in class all day, every day. I was a late bloomer, and if it wasn't for some of the teachers really seeing my potential, it would have been the outcome would have been totally different, Prof. It would have been totally different because it takes a village. So irrespective of your parental support, sometimes you need more support and more people to believe in you. And from our parents, it's like that's a given. But when we go out there in the world as students, as children, and a teacher can say, you have potential. Stacy, I am disappointed in you because I know you could have done better. Stacy, are you studying? When a teacher can take that interest in a student, it makes a world of difference. It makes a world of difference. So it is very important.
Indeed, a world of difference. But you said that you are an introvert, and Dr. Apollon Reed, who you met her in the Cayman Islands.
Yes. She was on a cruise with her husband.
Thanks for joining us anyway, Doc. Appreciate you joining us. She said, wonderful to see you again. It was such a pleasure meeting you and having the privilege of your hospitality. She also said that I never saw an introvert on meeting Stacy. It was.
I was very comfortable around Dr. Apollon and her husband, and that's another thing too, Prof. When we are in the company of warm people, of friendly people, then it's as if it bounces back, Yeah, so that's what happened there.
There's a lot to be said about that, right? When you're in the company, when energy is aligned and things are happening. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
As I say in Jamaica, spirit tech.
Spirit tech. That's what we're talking about. So, you were placed at Excelsior High School. Certainly was not your first choice.
Definitely not.
And sometimes, in life,
it wasn't even a choice.
It wasn't even a choice. But the point is, though, sometimes in life, we resist. What we resist is what shapes us, right?
Indeed.
So how did that disappointment evolve into destiny? What is your destiny today? How did that evolve?
Well, I can say unequivocally that Excelsior High School made me the person who I am today. Professionally, personally, socially, it shaped my existence in such a profound way. And I met some very good teachers at Excelsior High School, some very good friends with whom I still have, with whom I still communicate to this very day. And that is where I actually decided that I wanted to be a lawyer. Maybe I have a chance at this thing. Maybe I can become a lawyer, And going back to growing up and walking home from school, and telling the stories, being imaginative and chatting with our friends and everything. And realizing that every time my mom came to a reporting session, the teachers would say, you know, she does her work, but she talks a lot. She's always talking in class. She's always talking to her friends and everything. And I'm like, well, if I can talk, then I can become a lawyer. I can become an attorney. And, you know, it really shaped me. And I figured that I was good at, you know, English language and history and English literature. And so I could write well and write my essays well. And, you know, that's I think a part of me being introverted. I prefer to write. I prefer to write, right? So I honed that skill when I was at Excelsior. And my grade 7 English teacher took note of that. And then when I went to grade 9, I think it was, I started history. And my history teacher, Miss Pansy Watson, I think she's now Mrs. Pansy Bromfield, she nurtured my gift of writing. And she also nurtured the belief that I had in myself that I could become a lawyer. She said, you know, you can become an attorney. And she didn't stop there. She did not stop there. She I think, mentored me in a way, you know, to say that these are the subjects that you need to do well in to become an attorney. You know, language, literature, history, geography, you know, focus on those subjects and just continue to do well. And she was so encouraging, Prof. Even when I felt like I didn't know much, she was always encouraging. If I didn't get the 90, you know, she was still encouraging because she believed in me and knew that I could do it. So she really did help me to believe in myself that I could actually do this thing.
And how important is that, right? To
Very
have
important.
so
Yes.
important, right?
Very
And I think
important.
that's the real story here. And when you talk about a village, a community,
Yes.
we need to have people who believe in us as we need to believe in others as well. I
That's
think
true.
that's something we really need to do better.
Yes.
Do better at. You know, you experience what I would say 4 different principles, 4 leadership styles. You had to deal with fear, discipline, talk about encouragement just then, and accountability. What
Yes.
did observing those leaders teach you about authority and vision?
It taught me that different leadership styles work for different people, and different leadership styles have different effects on different people as well. But it taught me that irrespective of the leadership style, if it is that whoever you're leading, whether it's students, you know, staff, whomever you're leading, irrespective of your leadership style, Prof, if the individuals who you are leading know that you care, that you actually care about them, it makes a world of difference. Because, as you said, 4 principals during my 5 years at Excelsior High School. You know, if you have time, I'll just quickly take you through them. We had the Silver Fox, Mr. Wong. He was such a gentle soul. We had him briefly, like I think between grade 7 and 8, before he retired, because he was close to retirement when we started. And he was so nurturing of the students. He commanded respect. He was there for years. And if I meet certain past students of Excelsior that went before me, the first name that we're going to mention is Mr. Wang, right? He was so calm and he commanded respect without raising his voice. He commanded our attention and our respect without getting upset at us, because we didn't want to disappoint him. This is one of the people that you don't want to disappoint, because that person is so gentle and that person genuinely cares about you. He would walk the schoolyard, he would pop into the classrooms, you know, just to check on the teacher and the students. And we really respected him for that. And then he retired, and Mr. Logue, Mr. Mark Logue, assumed the principal position. Totally different leadership style, but he was no less respected by the students. Mr. Logue is the one that would, we call him the lion. We call him the lion. He's the one. I remember being in class and seeing, you'd be in class and you see 3 boys run past the classroom. And then when you look, you see Mr. Logue running behind them. Sometimes, somebody would drop a bag or leave a bag here because they're supposed to be in class. You're not in class. So Mr. Logue is walking the schoolyard to ensure that everybody's where they ought to be. And if he finds a bag, he's going to take up that bag and take it to his office. So, tough luck for whomever left that bag there. And then we had Mr. Fenton, who he was gentle as well, like Mr. Wong. And he's the type of person, as I said, that could tell you a firm no without saying the word no. He could firm no, and that's it, without saying the word no. So we really enjoyed our time with him as well. And he commanded respect as well. It's like the students at that time, we didn't want to do anything to disappoint our principals. And when I say the students, I mean majority of us as a collective. And then after Mr. Fenton retired, then we had Miss Beverly Wilson. We had a very short time with her, and she was a bit more authoritarian. I think she was Catholic. But at the same time, because we knew her from grade 7 coming up, we know that she was a vice principal, a no-nonsense vice principal. And so we just fell in line. We just fell in line where Miss Wilson was concerned. If we wanted to have our school concert, we had to be on our P's and Q's. So everybody fell into line. But as I said, different leadership styles. But at the same time, if the students know that you care, you're not talking down to the students. You're not making them feel less than they really are. You're making them feel important. You're making them feel motivated, and they know that you actually care. You're not just there because it's something to do or because I am just here. You're there because you actually want to see the best for your students. And this was true for all 4 principals that we had at the time. And so just feeling that care and attention from them, it created a lot of outstanding people from Excelsior High School.
4 different leaders, 4 different styles, and
Yes.
all of them well received by the students.
Yes, definitely.
So it's a blending in the end.
Yes, blended. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, let's go back to Miss Pansy Watson, the teacher who saw the lawyer in you way before you did. And not so much about her, but about the borrowing beliefs. When you don't have it, why should we, and this again is all about mentoring. Why is it so important to tap into others who possess what you don't have? Why is it so important?
It's important because, to put it in the simplest of terms, Prof, people need people. People need people. And at a certain age and stage in our lives, we are most vulnerable, and we need strong leadership. We need to be motivated, especially when we're at a certain age as teenagers and confused and nonchalant about certain things. We need people who believe in us. We need mentors and people who can motivate us and show us that we're capable. We're capable, because sometimes it can be so easy for students. And when I say students in this context, I mean high school and below, to doubt ourselves or to believe that, I am a country girl. I am from the hills of Gordon Town. As when I used to go to Excelsior, they used to tease me and say I live back a God. So like, you're just a country girl. What is there to be expected of you? What can you do? And to have someone believe in you. And it's not just a girl from the country. It could be somebody from a lower socioeconomic background, from anywhere. Somebody that may have it all in terms of material, but not the emotional support at home or from elsewhere. For somebody, for an adult in a leadership position, such as a teacher or a principal, to show that belief in us and to motivate us, it propels us. And then you're at this point where you do not want to disappoint somebody who believes in you. Even as adults, we don't want to disappoint someone who believes in us. And so and that's why I am so excited about Beyond the Backpack.
Let's go there. Let's go there. You brought it up. Let me bring this flyer up, and then you can talk about it. Talk about Beyond the Backpack.
Right.
What do you want to share about Beyond the Backpack?
I first and foremost, I love this flyer. When I look at this flyer, I feel a sense of wow. Just it's beautiful. I love the gold color, in the flag. But Beyond the Backpack, which is an initiative of GHN, I think it's important in the context that normally, sometimes what we see is students getting financial aid or assistance, and then it's just a one-off thing. But it is so important to cultivate and to hone a positive attitude in students that goes beyond a one-off donation or a one-off book or something. It's a continuing thing, because high school can take up to 7 years, between 5 and 7 years. And say, for instance, I had Miss Mitchell in grade 4 and Miss Porter in grade 3, and they encouraged me, and then it stopped at that. And then when I reached the high school, there was no one to really take a look at what I was doing. Then it could have ended there. If it ended with Miss Watson, then I probably wouldn't be where I am today, professionally speaking. So it is important to have sustainability, which is the word that I like when we're working with students, to take them throughout or on a path, then a sustained path, for them to know that there are people out there who believe in you. We see your potential, and we're not going to allow you to fall through the cracks. If you're shy, if you don't have all of the resources, if you don't believe in yourself, then Beyond the Backpack is a one-stop shop, in offering resources to students, books, and other materials that they may need for those who may not have it. And also for those who may have the books, we offering mentorship and cultivating the attitude within them to fully achieve their potential, encouragement. These things are so important. Sometimes it goes beyond material things, Professor. It's the mind and the belief that we have in ourselves, and the belief that can be instilled in us from teachers, from people in authority, to know that it gives us an extra push. I believe that it can give students an extra push. So as I say, it's a one-stop shop, resources, physical resources, mental tools, motivational tools, and just cultivating that attitude in students to propel further, and to know that not because I am from a rural community, not because my parents are not so bright or academically inclined, does that mean that I cannot succeed, or does it mean that I cannot achieve what I need to achieve because I may have a few shortcomings, or because I'm not getting enough motivation from where I ought to get it from? I can still achieve. And so for Beyond the Backpack initiative to go into the schools and with the help of the guidance counselors to identify these students who may just need that extra push. It's a very good initiative, and I can't wait for it to be taken Caribbean wide.
It will be Caribbean wide. But before we go Caribbean wide, we will go island wide. That is Jamaica.
Yes.
Right now we're going to launch in August 2026 in 3 parishes. And then after that, we're going to take it next parish, and just work through the entire country. But, I just want to say that Beyond the Backpack, we have already started the initiative. So far, we have given, I think it's 135 students.
Yes.
Textbooks, and not just one book. And that is, when we say we mean Global Humanity Network. We call it GHN.
Yes.
We have given textbooks. So I think it's 135 students.
Yes.
And then this idea came up. You had said that let's do a little bit more than just give a one-off thing. Let's build bridges. Let's build capacity. Let's do more. And then this Beyond the Backpack was birthed and is in effect now. We're building it. As you
Sustainability.
Sustainability. As you can see there in the flyer, it says you can sponsor a student for $2,000 for the year, or you can become an education champion for $4,000, or you can become a community impact partner for $8,000, or a national sustainability partner for $10,000. And guess what? That is how we're going to take it nationwide.
Indeed.
And out of Jamaica into other islands as well. So this is a big deal for Global Humanity Network. We're going to make a difference, and that is what it's all about. So I had to bring that up because you're a director at JHN, and you're in this thing. We're in it together. A big deal.
We're in it together. We're the village. We're a part of the village.
That's talking about the village, right? So your parents, Stacy, sacrificed during seasons when food was scarce. Life was not always easy.
Wasn't
that
at all.
Sacrifice leaves mark on people, right? How does that level of investment influence how you lead and serve today? What you had to go through and see, what your parents had to sacrifice to give to you. You have children.
Yes. It helps. It shapes one in such a way that at the end of the day, I know that it's not just about me. It's not just about my needs sometimes. And also it helps me it gives me more of a sense of purpose in terms of helping others that may need some assistance. And when I say help, it's not necessarily, it doesn't always have to be financial assistance or material assistance or anything like that. Sometimes it's just a motivating word. So growing up in rural St. Andrew, it was, some people are familiar with the experience of going without food sometimes, or not having as much materially speaking. We were happy. As I said, playing marbles and Chinese skip and going to the river, coming home from school and climbing trees or stoning star apples or whatever. We were happy. But of course, you knew that there was a limitation of not having all of the resources all the time. I was blessed enough that my parents made the sacrifices. Even in university, I saw those sacrifices. And it, as I said, it teaches me that it's not always, as an adult now, it's not always about me. It's not always about my needs. Sometimes if I can put somebody's needs before mine, if I can assist in any way, then I am compassionate about other people's situations.
And that is so important. I think it's a lot of times we will give if it's not going to affect us.
Yes, yes, indeed. And as I said, sometimes it's just, it can just be an encouraging word, or helping somebody in some way. As an attorney, if I can offer some assistance to somebody, even to interpret a legal provision or to put a documentation together, then I serve. I serve, Prof. I know my mom would always say that when I was going, said that, told my father that I was going to do law. He said, then what kind of lawyer are you going to be? You're going to give away everything. You're not gonna you're probably not gonna make any money because you're too soft and easy for serve for people.
I will say this. Keep some of that in you still, because I keep sending you documents to review.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Prof. It's for a worthy cause. It is for a worthy cause. And I am saying that if I can help in this way, if this is how I can give back, then by all means, right? I am always drawn to the story in the Bible of the master who gave his servants the talents. And I think that the talents meant probably money or coins or something back in those days. And the one that got the one talent, he buried it and did nothing with it. And I interpret talent there to mean, no, for me, my skills, or what can I do to serve? What can I do to make someone's life better? And if it is not, as I said, financial or physical resources, then if I can help in any way, then that is what I'm going to do. And if that is my talent, to help people, to even if it's some advice or to prepare something for them, to review a document, then that is my talent and I am going to use it.
That is worth more than gold.
Yes.
You know what, Stacy, you're not short on courage. Never were, right? You applied for the Emancipation Scholarship, even believing that others were smarter, but you did it anyway. What gave you the audacity to try anyway, believing others were more qualified?
Dr. Laxley, it was just something to do. I saw it as an opportunity, and I said, well, I'm going to apply. And so I applied. But even when I am putting in my application and filling out my application form, and I know that somebody else from, I was in undergraduate at this time. I just commenced my second year of the law degree. And I know that some people were applying from faculty, and these people are A's and bright and articulate, and these people, you can't touch them in debates and whatever. And I'm like, what am I doing? But it was something to do, and I applied. I honestly didn't know that. I can't say that I believed that I would have gotten it at the time, but it was something to do, and I'm like, well, if it's there, I am going to do it. And just even looking back at my trajectory at that time, I'm like, well, I'm here already. I have come this far, and there's this application. It's either yes or no. So I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to apply for this scholarship. You had other law students applying for it, and students that were studying engineering that applied for it. And I just put through my application. I did.
And it all worked out.
It
More
did.
funding,
Thankfully.
benefits, all that good stuff. So that would have taught you that, about something about faith. Even though you didn't think you would pass, you knew you still had to apply. Because if you
Yes,
had not applied, you could not have gotten it, right?
definitely. Exactly.
And that's a
Exactly.
lesson. That's a lesson that I
Yes.
think more
Yes.
of us need to really adhere to and practice, for that matter. Let's not just sit on it. Let's do it.
Yes.
What do you have to lose? You lose
Yes.
by not trying.
Let's go
You
for
have
it.
nothing to gain by moving forward. So, you often use the phrase destiny helpers. How do you recognize who these people are, destiny helpers? And how do you know when they enter your life?
Well, apart from the colloquial spirit tech
Of course.
phrase that I use, because of course you know that you feel the energy of others. That if it's good or bad, we're gonna feel a certain energy. But how I normally well, first of all, they come into your lives at different points in time. With it, high school, university, even now as an adult, destiny helpers are there, or they enter your lives. And one of the primary ways I identify a destiny helper, professor, is someone who genuinely wants to help without the expectation of getting something in return. There is no ultimatum. There is no request for anything. It's just someone who genuinely cares about you, irrespective of the relationship that they have with you, without asking for anything or without any expectations of you. Well, when I say expectation, let me say unreasonable or unwanted expectation, because of course they want to expect that you're going to do well. They want to expect that you're going to feel better if you're going through a difficult time. They want to expect that you're going to pass your exams because they have shown this interest in you, or because they have motivated you in some way, they have encouraged you in some way. So that's the basic but most important expectation. So that's how I identify destiny helpers, even to this day. And I am very blessed to have found some people throughout my lifetime, from high school onward, university, and even now, who have really helped to shape my life, and who have really helped to shape my trajectory. And so I am saying, Professor Laxley, if I can be a destiny helper to somebody, then that is what I want to do. It's as if you're paying it forward. If people help you, and as I said, people need people. If someone helps me, then I am expected to help others. I am not just going to be taking and taking and receiving and not giving back in some way. And as I said, it's not just financial. Any way that I can offer that assistance, I'm going to offer that assistance. I am going to be a destiny helper for somebody too.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's just a word that people
Yes,
want.
it
They're
is.
looking
It is just a word
for.
sometimes.
And so
Yes.
important, so important. You have been labeled, probably still. People still label you, right? We all been labeled at times. So, what does your story say about the danger of labeling children too soon?
Ah, it's a dangerous thing to do. It's a it can make or break somebody, and oftentimes than not, it breaks individuals. And so we have to be so careful. I was listening to a radio program today, And the presenter said something that gave me pause. I mean, of course, sometimes we know things going through life, but sometimes when you hear it repeated, it strikes a chord. And he said, instead of trying to change children or change our children, we should try to nurture the personalities that they were born with and encourage them and motivate them to do well and to be themselves, because everybody is not going to be the same. Everybody does not have the same aptitude. Everybody does not come from the same background. Everybody does not have the same capacity, whether it is emotional or mental or physical. Everybody does not have access to the same resources. And so, and as I said earlier, some of us are late bloomers. Some of us, we have that potential within us. We have what it takes, but sometimes for some reason we may not believe in ourselves, or we may be the turtles. We may move a little bit slower, and we're late bloomers. And just imagine labeling students and children at an early stage in their life, and then because of that label, they are treated differently, they are looked at differently, and they're going to feel differently. They're going to feel it. And this can have devastating impacts on children, on students, and how they blossom, on how they grow, on how they even interact with each other, and how they interact with people in authority. And so we
I
have
would
to be
say
very careful.
our society in general.
Yes, and it's a term that I like to use even for or beyond the backpack initiative. I feel I don't like to know that any student slip through the cracks, because it can happen so easily for a brilliant and otherwise brilliant student, and otherwise a student filled with potential and promise, to slip through the cracks because of a certain label, or because there was nobody to give them that support and encouragement that they would have needed at that time, during that season of their life.
Absolutely. And when labeling is at its worst is when it's institutionalized.
Exactly.
So weeding out kids.
Yes, and so we have to be so careful. Yeah.
Be so careful. So when you say it takes a village, it's not a slogan.
Sorry, it's not a
slogan. It's lived experience. It's lived.
Yes, definitely.
They say, who makes up that village in your life?
In my life, growing up, well, my parents, of course, my siblings, because I'm the eldest, and my younger siblings always encouraged me, because I was always saying I want to do this and so on, and they always encouraged me. Even to this day, I have a close relationship with my siblings. So my parents, my siblings, my teachers at school, the friends that I made in high school, and with whom I am close to even to this day, who I can pick up the phone and call if I need a pick me up or somebody to lift me up. Those people are so important in my life now, and people that I would have met, along the way. I can remember even a gentleman by the name of Mr. Oliphant. I don't remember his first name, at the civil service. I'm not remembering that ministry. It's that ministry that deal with all the hiring for central government in Jamaica. And after leaving law school, I didn't immediately progress to employment. And after a few months, I took my resume in and I spoke to him, and actually he was one of the destiny helpers in my life. And he just took my resume, and he looked at me, and he sat in his cubicle and had a little mini interview, and he said, what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself going? And we had a brief conversation. And, a few days after that, I got a call for the Ministry of Health for a legal officer position. And it's people who take an interest in your success. So even at that stage, he would have been a part of my village. The principal at Quality Academics, Mr. Robinson. It's just a lot of people that have made invaluable contributions to my life.
And it's a village that continues to grow, I'm sure.
Yes, it's a village that continues to grow. It can be a system, Prof, the school system, the community, the home, the church. The church was integral in my life growing up. That's how I think I learned to memorize and that imagination that I had. Because when you go to Sunday school, you have to memorize the Bible verses. And then next week, when you go back to Sunday school, you have to recite it.
Recite it, right?
Bible verse and so on. And so the church was a part of my village as well.
Absolutely. And it's a village that we must embrace and continue to build and grow.
Definitely.
One of the powerful things about the village is bringing in new ideas. And it's helping you to solve problems as well.
Yes.
Because now it's not just you, of course. And so village is important. I think that's the lesson there. If you're not a member of a village, if you don't live in a village, if you live by yourself alone, then find a village or build one around you, because it's so important. All right. So what happens if we fail to build villages for our children? And this is a societal question, right? What happens if we fail to build villages for our children? What does society ultimately lose?
I think that would be a bleak future overall. No man is an island. No man stands alone, of course. And as I said, people need people. And I think that growing up in Jamaica, a lot of us would have had those villages, and those villages made us into the people that we are today. And if it is that children or students should not have that village, then the consequences could be dire. You're looking at a lot of social ills, a lot of problems, a lot of issues. Because, of course, it goes without saying that the children are the future. We're all children once, and we're here now. And so the children of today will be the future of tomorrow. And it sounds cliche, but it is very important and impactful, because the way how they are treated, the way how they grow, the way in which adults look after them and people in positions of authority look out for them and look after them will help to shape their lives and help to shape the adults that they become. And people make communities, they make families, they make offices and workplaces. We make countries and we make the world. So it is very important for children to have a village behind them. And the village don't necessarily have to be a big entourage. Right? It can just be those people with whom they interact, caring, nurturing, and providing for them. And it is important when I think about my childhood, Prof. I don't forget things. We don't forget things that happen to us as children. And so we cannot expect that children nowadays, when they grow up, they're going to forget what happened or how we treated them or how we interacted with them. And these treatment will shape who they become. So whatever village, whatever future we want, that is what we have to help cultivate within our children of today.
And I should add that you certainly carry your memories very well. You remember a lot.
Yes, yes,
So really, so it's lasting, right? The things that happen early in
yes,
your life stays with
yes,
you.
indeed, yeah,
Good and bad,
yes.
I'd say. So it's very important for us to help and instill and just transfer our
Mhm.
stories to our
Yes,
children, right?
yes, indeed.
How else will they know? How else will they learn, right?
It's important.
If our history is important,
It's
then I
important.
think we ought to do that and be better at doing that.
Yes,
So
it's important.
the next three questions I'm going to ask you, just give me one answer, one word answer. Talent or mentorship? Which shapes destiny more?
Mentorship.
You're going to have to explain that one.
Sorry?
You have to give me an explanation on that one.
Well, let's look at Usain Bolt. Somebody that was born with a very special talent. And we can all remember his first races. They're on YouTube,
Mhm.
high school and so on, and even his first Olympics, and he's coming fifth and sixth, but he had that talent.
Mm.
But guess what? Without the mentorship of his coach
Mm.
and others around him, we don't know if we would have seen the world class athlete. We don't know if we would have seen all of those records. We don't know if we would have seen, all of those performances, right? So even though he had that born talent, that God-given talent, the mentorship from his coach and others helped to hone that talent, helped to cultivate that talent. It helped to sustain that talent and build on that talent. And I believe that that is important, and that is true for myself. You know, even we have talents. We're all born with talents, and if there are not others in specific positions, sometimes positions of authority, are in a position to help us, to mentor us, to coach us, to motivate us, then it's like a seed. The talent is a seed. If it
Yep.
is not watered, if it is not, in the right type of soil, if it is not given some sunlight, if it's not given a little rain, if it's not in the correct temperature, then that seed is not going to sprout. And even if it sprouts, if the right conditions do not exist, then it's not going to grow.
Might not be fruitful.
Exactly.
Right? Absolutely. Great answer and great explanation. Faith or fear? Which carried you further?
Faith.
Great.
Faith.
Needs
Yes.
no explanation there.
Yeah, faith.
One sentence. I want you to make if you could make one sentence to your younger self. Now you're talking to your younger self. What would it be?
You are stronger than you think you are.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're stronger than you think you are. Yeah.
Well, when you believe, even though you thought others were more equipped,
Hmm.
and you did it anyway, and look how it
Yes.
paid off. So
Yes.
you
And
are definitely
that's
stronger.
yes. And that's where faith comes
Yes,
in. Yeah,
absolutely.
because as I said, as a shy young girl, introverted, there were so many times I felt like, even for the first few years doing law, I felt like I didn't belong. Like, what are you doing here? Um, there was this sense of disbelief still, like, you're actually here. And if we're going to make those inner fears sometime get in the way of
Mm.
our success, then it's going to get in the way of our success. So we
Mm.
have to draw on our inner strength. We have to draw on the support of the village. We have to draw on our faith and our confidence and know that we're stronger than we think we are. And sometimes you see where some people are coming from and contrast it to what they have achieved and where they can, how they advance in life. It's just amazing. And without that inner belief, without that faith, without that strength and that courage, without the mentorship, then it could all not happen.
So, Stacy, we have people watching from different parts of the world right now, different continents. You have people from Jamaica, parts of Africa, here in the United States. For that child who's watching, listening to you tonight, a child who feels somewhat distracted, overlooked, and somewhat uncertain, what should their village be saying to them right now?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Just keep going. Just keep moving forward. Because even as adults, we realize that no matter what distractions we may think we have, no matter how distracted we think we are, no matter what is happening in our lives, the world keeps turning and the people keep going, things keep moving. So for that young child, the village should be saying to them, don't give up, just keep moving forward. If there are going to be hurdles, but hurdles can be crossed. There are going to be rivers. Build a bridge. Get somebody to help you to build a bridge to cross that river. For those of us who can't swim like myself, you can't swim across the river. Get help to build a bridge. And where support is needed, get support. But keep on moving. Keep moving, and don't stay where you are, or don't be bogged down by the circumstances that you think are holding you back. Just keep moving. That was a mouthful, but just keep moving.
It's a good mouthful. Stacy, as we get ready to close, here's an opportunity for you to just say what's on your mind, whatever that is. Just say it as we get ready to close.
Oh wow. I believe that it's so important for those of us who are in a position to help shape young minds. However we can, the best way that we can, and just to give back, not just financially or in terms of resources, but as you said, even if it's just a word, even if it's motivation. And it is important because children grow up to become adults, and adults make nations. We make villages, we make nations. And for a nation to move forward, it is important that children are nurtured. It is important that children are given the attention and the love that they need. And I know, as parents, we are loving towards our children and all of that, but we need to, if we can, extend it, and to be a little bit more selfless, and to look at the bigger picture. It is so important to nurture our children. Just cultivate them. They're seeds, and we need to give them enough sunlight. We need a little rain sometimes. They need discipline sometimes, and the right amount, the proper soil for them to grow. If we need to put a little fertilizer, get some additional resources, then we do that, and try to build the future that we would want to see. And it starts with our children.
It starts with our children and extend deeper into the village.
Indeed.
Out of our home.
Yes.
Into the homes of others, right?
Yes.
Yes, because it's like I say, it's a village, and the village is not just in our house; it's outside as well. So, Stacy, first, let me say thank you for joining me join me tonight on In the Spotlight and to have this conversation with us. You know, tonight was not just a conversation about law. When you're an attorney, that's what you do for a living, right? But we didn't talk about law tonight. It was more of a conversation about infrastructure.
Yes.
You know, because we believe and we know that children do not fail in isolation.
Mm-mm.
And they do not succeed in isolation either. Right? So, Stacy, you're not simply an accomplished person. You're evidence of what happens when parents make sacrifices and when teachers believe and when principals lead, right? There are 4 leadership styles we
Yes.
talk about. And when government invest as well, because you had your scholarship, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Such a blessing. Such a
Yes.
blessing. Yes.
And also when mentors speak life, and you've had some of those.
Yes.
You know, some children, they don't lack intelligence. What they lack is investment. And that's what Beyond the Backpack is all about, right?
Indeed.
They
Yes.
don't lack talent. That is, some students don't lack talent. They lack people advocating for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had those. You had talent, but you also had people advocating for you. Your mother started advocating for you very early when she pulled that black thing out. Who's advocating for you, right? So tonight we're reminded that we live in the village. We're part of the village. So we must identify the village that we live in and participate actively in that village. You know,
Yes.
if we mentor, if we invest, and if we believe, futures will expand. And I am one who truly believe that it takes a village. So, Stacy, I'm going to give you the last word before we close out.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Prof. As you know, when our conversations start, they can go on for hours. But thank you so much for having me, and for giving me the opportunity to share my story. And I just looking back at my life, I see a lot of instances where I could have slipped through the cracks, literally. And it makes me even more grateful for where I am today. And not just for where I am, but knowing that there were genuine people that cared and helped me to and propelled me to be where I am today. And I it is it is a very humbling thing. And so, as I said, I try to give back however I can. And it would be such a blessing for others if they could get or could meet the people, the kinds of people that I met, or the kinds of teachers and principals and so on that I encountered. Because, as I said, it really does have an impact and it can shape someone's trajectory. So, I, for those of us listening, it's just to really treat others how we would want to be treated. Sometimes some things sound so simple, but it can have a profound and lasting impact. To treat others with compassion and dignity, and to know that if we do good to others, they will remember us for it. And if we do bad, or if we don't help when we can, they will remember us for it as well.
And that account, go out there and perform one act of kindness. And as my co-host, Dr. Donna, would say, not to a family member, but to a stranger.
Indeed.
Say good night and see you next week on In the Spotlight.
Thanks for having me, Prof.
My pleasure.
Step into the spotlight. Couple lights on, cameras roll. Time to break the mold. No more silence, every story's gotta be told. Truth in the air, no filter, no disguise. Real talk,